Welcome back, Cigar Talk. I'm your host, Rob Jones. We got Bryant Falconer in the house. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing good, bro.
Awesome, man. So let's get into, first of all, let me say, if you're not smoking a cigar already, this would be a good time to cut one and light it up. You know what I mean? That's what we're fixing to do. I am smoking the Alec Bradley Rare and Fine 2019. Great freaking stick, dude. I've been saving this. You know, I bought a 5-pack from the Leaf of the different Rare and Fines, and I've smoked all of them but one on the show because it's that good.
It's that great, that rare, that fine.
It really is.
And I'm smoking definitions. We don't know the name. We just go out of ribbons. The red ribbon.
The red ribbon.
Maduro.
I don't need no ribbon. You remember that episode of Seinfeld? Why won't you wear the ribbon?
I don't need no ribbon.
So, anyway, let's talk about the definition cigars, because there's been a lot of talk back and forth about some guys have experienced nothing but bliss, and some guys have experienced some bad construction. So Bryant decided he's going to smoke one on the show, and he cut it. He did a cold draw, and he just lit it up. How is it so far?
Perfect still.
Perfect. And I'll tell you what, man, dude, you take the band off of that, and it's still a beautiful cigar.
Yes,
it really is.
Look at that wrapper.
Yeah, that is nice. Oily.
When I toasted it, you could smell the cocoa coming out. I was like, yeah, listen, smell that. First draw, perfect. I don't know, man.
Hey,
I don't know.
Well, over the course of the show, we'll check back in with you on that. I haven't lit my cigar up yet. Where's my damn lighter? There it is. I told Luke earlier, I was like, hand me a lighter. And he was like, which one has fluid in it?
That's the great question.
Right?
Which one has the fluid, Mike? He's been smoking all week, so we may need to refresh all of them.
The lighter that Al McAuliffe gave me the first time we smoked together.
Dan gave me mine.
He passed this over to me. I needed a lighter. He passed it over, and when I handed it back to him, he's like, oh, no, you keep that. And I was like, damn, thank you. I was like, this is a man lighter.
Yes, sir.
Dude, it's like having a Zippo that's like on steroids.
That's on steroids, and it's bulked with that, so it was really lifting weights before it took steroids. It just wanted to look.
Right.
It was already strong before. That's a bad light. We were at the what's the name in Fort Worth. And I was like, man, that's a bad lighter. I like one. Damn, it's like, I'll see you later.
And
then he came back with a box.
I've had this lighter for over 2 years, and it's still working great.
It's been over a year for me with that one, because that was what, dude, 2019 when we went there? It is. You know you have a lighter when you hold that.
I think that's probably at least 3/4 of a pound.
True. Know you got a lot. You know you got something.
Yeah.
It ain't one of them flimsy. You like, where's my lighter? It's in your hand. With that, you know where it is.
You can light a cigar with this.
Dude, you can light
or if you're getting robbed.
It's true. Oh, I don't know if you saw this video.
Yeah.
This man was at
a gas station,
and they rolled up in that white van on him, and he took that gas out, and he just started spraying on it was like, and they looked at him, he was like, wait a minute, that's gas. And they started running. He just started spraying it in the van.
Dude, that was hilarious.
He should have had that lighter there. Click.
Dude.
Bruh.
That was awesome.
I sat there and I was like, that's the smartest person I've ever in my life seen.
Two dudes jump out with guns.
And
he soaks them.
He just starts soaking them.
And it's like, I may not have any fire. No, I don't have any fire. But if you shoot that gun,
you're done. And everybody with you is done. Especially if you get back in that van where I've sprayed it all in the van. Because people know it's not the gas that ignites; it's the fumes.
Dude, he at least pumped half a gallon in the window.
Tell him. And then they drove off. He's like, "Nah, we can't mess with him. Nah, I'll leave that dude alone. He ain't playing."
You know,
that was Liam Neeson.
Put his pump up and got in his car and went home.
Laughing.
He was like,
I got them.
Don't mess with the old man.
I have a set of skills.
So anyway, let's talk about what we're drinking before we get too far into the show.
What are we drinking?
I cracked open
the
Eagle Rare. And I'll tell you something. I was actually thinking that I wasn't going to crack open any of it until I get another bottle. Mm-hmm. But then when you showed up, I was like, let's drink it.
Thank you. That's my bruh. That's my bruh.
Well, you know, you save. Oh, just figured out I'm not wearing my work shirt.
I happened to look over and I'm like, wait a minute, because the emblem got me. I was like, I'm sitting there looking at this shirt. Then I'm like, wait a minute. So there's the shirt.
And let me tell you something. The shirt was filthy.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I wore it. On the show for the interview with Nick Gervais.
Okay.
And I think that, anyway, when I came back in the house, my wife was like, what is all over that shirt? And I was like,
everything.
Beans.
Everything. Lemonade.
Exactly. So anyway, my wife washed it. It's on the hanger, and I forgot to put it on.
Oh, somebody's out of... Wait a minute.
Yes. He's out of uniform.
I just happened to look over there, too.
Look, dude, I'm surprised he has on shoes. He hasn't had shoes on all day. And
he said, well, I tried to be in uniform.
He went back in the house, and when I went outside, I watched him, and he was no shoes.
No shoes?
I was like,
shoes now.
Jethro Bodine. That's the Jones house.
Nothing wrong with it, bro.
So anyway, hey guys, let's say thank you to our Patreon members, the Light 'Em Up crew.
Yes.
We are so appreciative, and we have. Let me tell you, we do a lot of things. Well, I do a lot of things with the Discord guys.
Yes, he does.
And
I work during the day.
Let me tell you something. And I'll get back to this in a minute. But anyway, we just thank you guys so much because you're the backbone of this show.
The truth, man.
And the support that you guys give us is so much appreciated. Yes. And I appreciate the camaraderie that I have with these guys. They keep us going, man. They really do.
They pump us. They pump us because there are times when you get to the point.
And they also give us a lot of great feedback.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I've got something planned I'm going to announce to them in the very near future. Well, after this show, actually. But anyway, they give us such good feedback on this show. I'm going to say probably for 4 or 5 months, they were like, all of our episodes, we quit doing interviews.
Yeah.
We just thought, you know what, let's try this and see how it works and blah, blah. And when I went and had a meeting with the producers of the Patreon, they were like, yeah, we'd like you to bring back at least one interview, a month. Mm-hmm. And we've been doing an interview almost every other week, at least. So
back at it.
We listen to these guys. They give us great feedback, and we appreciate the support.
Because they are who we are talking to.
Yeah, they're like us. They're regular guys. And so we want to give them what they ask for.
That's right. It's what you want. That's what we're going to give you.
Right.
That's what it is, man. It's Rob's
show.
Well,
don't be telling them that. No. I'll be getting emails about things I can't deliver on. Because we know,
like Groot, don't bring.
No, young Buck, don't ask him what he wants.
And leave it alone.
And you know what? I was actually trying to get, I'm going to have Young Buck on the show.
Okay.
For, an introduction and find out. Because that dude's, you know what? He's a good kid. He's young. He's like 21. He's smoking cigars, and he just got a killer job. He's looking long term.
Yes.
I mean, the dude is like getting his.
He's not a kid.
Yeah, he's moving up, and so I want to have that dude on talk. I mean, a 20-year-old smoking cigars and hanging out with old guys,
smoking them right.
That's a smart kid.
Not cutting them open and removing the innards,
like some do.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, how much? The caramel and the cinnamon that you get off of that.
And marrying with this cocoa coming from this definition, bruh.
Dude, that Eagle Rare, yeah.
Heaven. It's great, man. What about our sponsors?
We're very fortunate to have great sponsors.
Yes.
And you guys are in for a special treat today because one of our sponsors, which is Case Elegance, we have the founders on the show for an interview. We talk about what they did before they were in the humidor industry, and we find out about what it took to get where they are.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm impressed by these guys. They have jumped into something and not tried to make the fast buck.
No.
And that's impressive in today's market.
Thinking about the long run, man.
Dude,
thinking about next year.
Exactly.
10 years
it's
down
like,
the line.
And well, we'll save it for the interview, but I'm just real impressed with these guys. And so we're honored to have them as a sponsor. You guys, if you haven't seen, I'll put up a picture during the video at this time of the Army Green Humidor. Dude. Yeah. I almost reneged.
What? Who's gonna be a problem? Who's gonna have a problem, Pippin?
I didn't.
I was gonna come over here with baby powder and a hanger.
Oh, man! Wow.
What? Where? As old Dodie Bastard said, "Where's mine?"
Okay, so anyway, it's yours.
Bruh,
It's yours. It's yours. I just had a few ideas.
Nah.
You know how my brain works.
Don't think. I need to take it home today.
I was like,
Making sure.
you know what kind of giveaway we could do?
Yeah, it's going home today. Sorry.
Bryant left it here for a week. So, you know, my mind's turning every time I see it. I'm like, you know what we could do with that?
Because that, and I shouldn't have told him, but.
Yeah. Bryant, it'd be like a cigar.
Yeah. Yes. That people sent for both of us and only one enjoyed. But that was way old history.
That's old history.
Yeah, that's
we
not
haven't
you
done that in a
anymore.
long time.
Yeah,
I've turned the corner.
Yeah.
I've
and I appreciate
seen
that,
your
bro.
value to the show.
He buttering somebody because it ain't me. He ain't falling for it, bro. I'm not falling for
Just
it.
so you know, I buttered on both sides.
Nah, bro. Nah, bro. I'm good.
So, anyway, guys, I want you to take a look at this Army Humidor because it's badass.
Look.
Okay, hey, you guys, put the camera over there, Luke, so they can see the way this Definition cigar's burning. It's beautiful, man.
It is, man.
So far, so good.
And tasting wonderful.
And we're always going to be straight up transparent.
Yeah.
That's why we want to. I mean, and we love the guys.
Yes.
We love what they're trying to do. We want to make sure before we give them the stamp of
when you put your
Cigar
name on
Talk approved.
You know today's culture, you put your name on it, you can't take it back, baby.
Right.
It's you. It's you.
We're working on that, and we want to see how it goes.
Yes.
But anyway, with Case Elegance, look down the show notes. We got a link. You go by there. You purchase any of their products. They got watch boxes. They've got man bags.
Totes,
whatever. I say man bags. And then, and we talked about the man bag on the interview.
He said the man bag.
Wait until you find, you're going to get one. I'm going to get one. I'm already said I'm going to buy one. I think when you hear about what they do to make these, you're going to be blown away.
Yeah, because
I know you're already like that looks good.
That's my style,
when you find out how they make it,
oh yeah,
dude,
gotcha.
They wouldn't even tell me where the leather comes from because they don't want anybody to know. That's how badass it is.
They growing dinosaurs. There's secret Jurassic Park.
This is a Tyrannosaurus leather.
Tyrannosaurus leather. Look at that.
Dude, but everything they make is just badass man stuff. And if you go there and buy anything, if you use the code Cigar Talk, you get free monogramming on any of it. So make sure you go check them out. They're in the show notes.
Yes, sir.
And but you know what? Listen to the interview first, and then go and check them out.
Really want to go
because you're going to want to know how much quality they put into building all their
items.
products.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, then we've got McAuliffe Cigars. We want to say thank you to McAuliffe. They've been a longtime supporter. We're almost at 2 years in with McAuliffe, and we want to say thank you. And the other day I got a message from a guy, and he was like, I smoked the Medallia, and you know what? I don't like it as much as you do. And I was like, hey, man, everybody has their own palate. Yeah. And then the next day, he sends me a picture and goes, oh, this Modafina blows the Medallia away. And I'm like, dude, everybody has their palate, and that's what's so great about McAuliffe.
They're going to hit it.
Is they have a cigar for everyone. And I mean, this guy particularly, he smokes a lot of like Padron 1926, Padron 50th anniversary, high-end cigars.
Yeah, and he put that Modafina in that area.
And, well, he just said, I love this cigar. This is for my palate.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, if you're in that range, smoke a few Reserva and get back to me.
Yes, sir.
Because to me, the Reserva is way up
Dynamite,
there.
bro.
I'm not smoking those a lot because my budget doesn't allow me.
We go to a job.
Right.
We have to go to a job.
But when I have the opportunity, it's one of my go-to luxury sticks. You know what I mean? So they have a stick for every palate out there. And the line isn't meant for you to have to love them all.
No.
You find the ones that you love.
And take them with you.
I mean, my 3 favorite McAuliffe sticks, I don't know if I've ever told you this, would be the Reserva, the Medallia, and the Connecticut.
Reserva, the A, and the Sumatra.
Yeah, I mean, that's because our palates are different.
Totally
you know what
different.
I mean? I think that I honestly think that they may make the best Connecticut on the market. I would have to do some comparisons to really nail that down, and maybe that's a future show. Let's do like the top 5 Connecticut's.
Hey, I'm with you on that one.
For a guy who doesn't always smoke Connecticut's.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Because if a guy only smokes Connecticut's, he's probably not going to like my list.
No, because he's going to have his own extravagant list.
Right. But if you smoke everything,
Davidoff, Churchill, and
right. I mean, you got, depending on where you are.
Yes, sir.
But my Connecticut's are usually a little more bolder than someone who's smoking the Monte Cristo Classic Connecticut.
Yes, sir. You're right on that, because your palate, when you look at this and like, man, it's smoking air. No, I'm good.
I've smoked one, and that's what I said.
It's smoking air. I'm good.
Like, no. So the other thing is, if you're not a McAuliffe ambassador, make sure you look in the show notes, click on the link, go by, sign up. You'll get a free challenge coin with your own personal number on it. You'll also have an invitation to join the Facebook group that's just for ambassadors.
And it's wild.
It's
you
awesome.
have a ball in there.
So make sure you look in the show notes for that.
Yes, sir.
Then we have Artisanal Tobacco, a blended beauty by AJ Fernandez on the Viva La Vida Club 500. You know, the Club 500 rolls off your lips as soon as you finish saying Viva La Vida. It's like,
especially me.
Viva La Vida Club 500.
Club 500.
You know, I'm going to be honest. You know, I quit smoking 6x60s on a regular basis a long time ago. Yeah. That's not my biggest wheelhouse.
That's true.
But I will tell you this. That stick makes me want to smoke a 6x60.
Yes. It is enticing.
It's phenomenal.
It talks to you.
The way they did the construction,
the blend,
the box press. That box press.
Yes.
Dude.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of the Club 500.
That's my stick.
I know.
When it comes to Viva La Vida,
I know.
500, baby.
And I'm giving you props.
$5.
What?
500, $5. You're too old. Keep going.
You're right. You know what? You know what I found out was the biggest enemy of man?
What's that?
Do you know?
Age.
Time.
Yeah.
Because you can't stop it no matter what you do.
I'm going to freeze myself. So?
If I get hungry, we'll have meat in the fridge.
Tell the truth.
So, no, you can't stop time. But you know what I say to that? Then let's enjoy the time we got. And I'm going to do that with cigars,
stick
bourbon.
In my hand. Yes.
But if you haven't checked out the Viva La Vida, you owe it to yourself.
Sir.
And I will say this: if you're a brand new cigar smoker and you're taking that journey from light to full, you're going to need to wait just a little while before you get to the Viva La Vida.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? That's a medium plus.
It's a medium plus, and it's a full. If you're new, your tongue does not have the power to understand that.
Your nasal cavity doesn't get those flavors.
You're not going to understand it. You're not.
But when you graduate someday,
someday,
put that on your list.
I gotta try this now.
You made it. So anyway, and then let's talk about our last sponsor, which is Jay down at the Leaf. No, well, I say Jay. The Leaf.
Where Jay is.
Where Jay is.
And Scott.
Jay
and Corey.
Scott, and you know who's back?
Yeah.
Dwayne is back.
The man.
Have you seen Dwayne yet?
Not yet.
I have not either, but I'm looking forward to it. I am.
He's like Burt Reynolds down there. He's the coolest thing in there.
I don't think he's as old as Burt Reynolds.
I hope not.
Is Burt Reynolds still alive?
No,
I think he's
gone.
Died.
He's gone, yeah.
But the car lives on forever.
Oh, forever, man. I love being out there with Dwayne because we were both ex-law enforcement. So our stories our stories are something else, man. And he knows his sticks.
Oh,
man.
dude, he does. Also knows his guns.
Oh, definitely.
Hey, he's like, if there's any criminals out there listening, I want to give you some advice. Don't ever go into a cigar shop to rob the place because you're probably not going to make it out.
No, because there are going to be law enforcement officers in there at all times.
Oh, dude.
We spend a lot of time in cigar. They used to talk about us being donut eaters. Nah, bro. That's cop crack. That gets you hyped. But when you ready to wind down, you sitting in some cigar lounge with a stick in your hand.
I met a new officer in the back. Well, you were there, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
I forget his name. I apologize. But he was one of the newer officers that I hadn't seen in there before. And so it's, you know what? We always love to see guys come in and be able to take a little break and hang out with us for a minute. But the cool thing is they come back on their days off.
And sit there and chill with us.
And I love making relationships with cops because if I get pulled over, I'll be like, hey, you remember we had a cigar together? You remember, right?
That doesn't work with me. Yeah, we can have another one in this patrol car.
I'm a gifted gabber when it comes to police officers.
Not just when it comes to police officers in any situation. You can talk your way out of anything, bro. I'm serious.
My buddy Jeff down in Houston, he always used to say, you could sell a woman wearing white gloves a popsicle ketchup stick.
I can see you with St. Peter. Man, I'm not going down there. But your name is blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? Maybe.
How did you spell it? Because let me look in there.
See, did you say Robert or Rob? Which way? Jones or Jones?
Let me tell you something funny.
What's that, bro?
So,
but you got to go to 1166 North 2nd in Abilene, Texas. Now let's go.
We're gonna rope back around.
I got you.
Anyway, you know, my buddy down in Houston gave me a nickname that kind of stuck for a long time, and it was Rob M.F. Jones.
I can believe that.
And so that was on my Zoom name. And I had a meeting with a potential sponsor not long ago, and I look up, and my name on there is Rob M.F. Jones.
We lost. We either lost it or they was like, yeah, this the dude we want.
Hey, it was with Case Elegance.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was just, when I looked up and saw that, I was like, oh, so I changed it. And I don't know if anybody noticed.
Like, is he changing his name? What's up with this?
I changed it to Robert Jones.
Robert Jones.
It's like, that sounds more professional.
Nah.
But I think they know now.
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows. Anybody, all you got to do is listen to one show and they know who you are.
Right.
He is that guy.
Hey, so anyway, back to the Leaf.
Yes, sir.
That's how we do our sponsorships.
Yes,
we
sir.
make sure we cover them. It's just, we like to throw in other stuff.
Yeah, because
it's not just a blanket commercial. These are guys that we support and they support us.
And we chill with them when we can. Like when Al came up here and sat down with us.
Dude.
And just had a conversation. And he was like, he wanted to know everybody's name. It was like,
hey, he wanted to know people's name that I didn't even want to know.
Yes.
So some young millennial came in spouting out stuff, and I was like, oh, nobody wants to know that guy. Al wanted to know.
And held a conversation with him.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, that's the kind of people that support us, and we support them. And we want to say thank you to all of them. But the cool thing is, if you're interested in Viva La Vida cigars or the McAuliffe cigars, you can call up Jay, and he'll get them shipped out that day.
No delay.
Bovetta packs.
No delay.
Dude, everybody says, and check this out. The other day I was looking at Zika picture he posted, and he's got a cigar medic that tells you what the humidity is in your cigar. He opened a pack of cigars he just got in the mail from Jay. 67% humidity. He was like, dude, ship cigars ready to smoke because they're not in a warehouse.
Nope.
They're in the humidor.
Yes.
And they've been resting
for
a long time.
So you send them in that state. So when they get to the new person, they're ready to smoke.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't waste your time.
If you want to save a buck, call up Cigar International, and they will send you out a brick that's been sitting out next to the dry dock bay for days.
That you're going to have to sit in the humidor for a year before you get smoking. Oh, I got this. When did you get it? 1983.
All right, I shouldn't be knocking somebody, but you know.
You saw his face, didn't you?
My son came, he's like, you shouldn't be talking about somebody else. All right. Anyway. So anyway, we'll move on. So anyway, let's jump on. How's that cigar doing for you?
You saw that second, third ash that I just dropped down. This thing, no issues, still getting the flavors.
Dude, and it's got a good burn too.
Yes, and that pepper. Oh.
I'll tell you one of the things that, like, the other day, Zika cut one with the same cutter you have, the Deep V, and it cracked. Right?
Yeah, that's dry. It's too dry.
And then you're screwed.
Yep, because it's done.
The worst thing is when a cigar splits, or what I also hate is if like part of the wrapper tears. Yes. And now I've got like the binder showing through. I'll smoke it, but it's not enjoyable.
I was just going to say the exact same word.
The whole time you're just messing with it
because it's nice in your face, and I got to keep looking at it.
Yes, you're like, how bad is that?
Dang.
Yeah, it pisses me off.
Bro, I'm rolling.
Yeah, I see that. And let me tell you what, this fine and rare, look at that.
You said it in the name, fine and rare. Stop trying to outdo me, man. Let's move to the pick 6. Are you going to go first this
that
time
retro
on me?
hell.
Did you see him?
Rub it in.
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
Do you remember that song?
Yes.
That was a country song.
I did not know that. I just thought it was a doggone commercial.
No, I'm talking about the song in the 70s. Rub it in, rub it in.
The only rub it in I know is a commercial.
They stole that. Or I'm sure they paid.
Yeah, because I know they didn't steal anything.
After the show, I'm going to play it for you.
I got you.
So, no, you always go first on the pick 3.
Okay.
That's just
He just like that's the order. Standard operating procedure is you go first.
First, I got to get my glasses on, so
I have to see.
Flip it over to Big B.
Okay, my pick 6 this year, my 3 started off with a Nat Seco League of number 4.
Oh, dude, I haven't had one of those in a while. Now, where are those still in the cabinet?
I didn't get them for there.
Where?
I did it. It was sent to me.
Oh, nice.
And to think about it, it took me back to remember when Junior run that box of them down in Fort Worth. And we sat back there, and everyone we smoked, he's like, oh, man. I was mad. I was like, man, I should have won. But he gave them to us. We all smoked them, man. My number 2 is going to be a Romeo and Juliet of San Andreas.
Really?
Yes.
Which color of box does that come in?
Now I got to go back and pull my
Is
picture.
that the black box?
No, it wasn't a black box. I don't know. I didn't get it in the box. I got them sent to me.
Oh, well.
I didn't get no box.
I thought maybe someone sent you a box.
And my number 1 this week is going to be a 601 Maduro.
601 Maduro, nice. Is that the blue and gold?
Yeah, blue and gold.
That is a quality stick. I promise you that. So
I had a good week.
Yeah, you did. So this week, my number. Well, I'm going to start at number 3, and this is not in ranking order.
Gotcha.
But my first one was a what do you call it? The Cinco Compromiso.
Compromiso, I remember that baby. Yes, sir.
Talk about a chocolatey bomb.
It was just like, ooh.
Dude, that thing is fantastic.
Willy Wonka.
And then my next stick this week is the My Father's Lee Bijou 1922. Dude, I'll tell you what, I've really jumped on the Robustos. First of all, it's like $7.80.
You don't go broke.
And that Robusto is a stick.
Yes.
I mean, it's not a short smoker, too.
Nope. He said it's not a short smoker.
It's not a short smoker.
It ain't a short smoker. We're going to leave that alone.
Not like Scott Fritz.
Gosh. Did he have to give his government name?
My son gave me that look.
Like, yes, the government name.
And then my final stick of the week was, it's a good one, the Diaz. De Gloria from AJ Fernandez.
AJ Fernandez.
Always, I'm a big fan of AJ's.
Yes, sir.
When he makes a stick, I'm usually going to try it at least. And more times than not, I'm really going to enjoy it. So, well, hey, guys, we've got Ian and Michael, the founders of Case Elegance, coming up next. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hey, guys, we have a couple of very special guests with us today. We've been talking about them for several months. Case Elegance, we're big fans. But we have the founders with us today. We have Michael Slate and Ian Bennett. How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic, Rob. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, making out. Thank you.
Hey, man, we're glad to have you. We've been wanting to get you on the show. We love the products that you're making because, first of all, I know you guys are like all, elegance and prestige and craftsmanship. But, what we've kind of told everyone is you guys make badass man stuff. I mean, all the stuff you make, it's like it's quality, it's beautiful, and it's like if you're a regular guy, when you go to your website, I'm like, yeah, I need one of those. I need one of those. So, I mean, I love what you're doing. Bryant loves what you're doing, and especially with the new stuff you got coming out. Let's talk about that for a minute. You came out with the Military Humidor. I love it, man. It's a beautiful. What color green would you call that?
It's actually called chive.
Chive.
But I was going for when I designed it, I was obviously going for like that OD green.
Yeah, it looks like a Foot Locker.
Yep. Here it is actually.
Very nice. Yeah. Dude. And just looking at it, it reminds me, I mean, look at all the hardware that you guys put on it. I mean, the latches on the side, the handles on the side, the corners. I mean, dude. And then you got the yellow, 50 gauge Toros. And then on the other side has your name, of course. But yeah, I'm a huge fan. And one of the things that I love about what you guys do with your humidors is they come with the humidification system. So it's not like, I mean, if I went out and bought a humidor, whenever I bring it home, I still have to get all that stuff too. And so when I buy a humidor from you guys, I get everything I need right there.
Yeah, I think we wanted to have a holistic system with our humidors, right? Like we wanted it to be, I think that's something we identified is that there was a lot of problem solving when buying a humidor that wasn't necessarily fun.
Right, like, there really is.
Especially as a new smoker, you go, well, what kind of humidification system do I need? Do I need humidor solution, or do I just use water? Or, how does that all play? So we wanted to kind of create a seamless customer experience with humidor buying and have a turnkey like solution where it's just, out of the box, you're ready to go and start seasoning.
And I think we got into this successful with doing that. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, no, we got into this actually 2016, and we were, fairly new smokers, right? And so we started researching the space and even launched a really bad humidor early on, and it failed. And we noticed that all the humidors just had really bad reviews everywhere you look, right? And it was it was all about humidity. Nobody understood because they didn't really take the time to talk to a new smoker about how you humidify. Should I use, like Ian said, should I use Boveda? Should I use, water? Should I use crystals, whatever? And so we kind of set about solving that problem. And it took us every bit of, 3 years at least, just really full time. And we were, imagine 20 humidors in a room with different boxes lowering humidity and different types of solutions and crystals, and really just trying to figure out what's the easiest system that's going to last the longest, and how do we make it, just so easy for the consumer. And, it's kind of been now, I guess, a 5-year journey getting to where we are. So.
Yeah. So when you were in that journey, you got 20 humidors in a room. Like, there's a lot of cigar smoking going on during that testing, correct?
Of course. Yeah. Because that's part of it. Honestly,
right.
humidification actually affects the taste.
Right.
And I think a lot of people don't fully understand that even one Boveda pack on the bottom versus, sandwiching them or putting multiple, different, or water. Like a Boveda will taste different than water. It will taste different than, water with a little bit of propylene glycol, which will taste a little bit different than the crystals. And so just making sure that we understand that and not putting too much of one thing to disrupt the taste is really important.
Yeah, because I mean, when it comes down to it, the most natural setting is if you're in Nicaragua and you just right there where the humidity is always with the cigar.
Perfect,
but
yeah.
when you bring a cigar to the United States, and the thing about it is when you look at the United States as a whole, you have so many variables because your climate in your area, Indiana, versus West Texas versus East Texas versus South Texas. I mean, we have different climates completely from one side of the state to the other. And so if I'm down in Houston, I mean, I don't need hardly any humidity at all because it's already there. But out where I live, our humidity is super low. And so I have to maintain a proper humidor at all times. I don't have much leeway. Mm-hmm. And so I have friends all over the country that smoke cigars. So you're challenged. And the thing about it is what you guys do is you give them that package to where they don't have to figure it out. They just have to follow the instructions. And I love that because when I got started, I remember hating that part of it. And that was not a fun part of the cigar world. And so I have friends still that they really don't know what they're doing when it comes to their humidor, Tim Rickman. But anyway, he's been working on a humidor for quite some time. And so I throw his name out there because, he's not alone for sure. There's so many people out there that they don't feel comfortable storing their cigars at home. In fact, I had a video herf that he was on not long ago, and his cigar was dry. He had the cigar to humidor, I think, for like 6 months, 8 months, and the cigar was dry because, well, he has a cheap humidor. But anyway, you guys are here to solve that. So let's back up before you guys got into doing Case Elegant humidors. I mean, like, how did you guys meet? What were your backgrounds? I mean, tell us a little bit more about you guys. So, Ian, let's start with you. What were you doing, 10 years before you were doing Case Elegance?
I was maybe in high school.
I was going to say, don't tell me you were 6.
No. I think I was probably in college, but I graduated in 15. So, from Miami University.
Oh, so you were
Oxford,
down
Ohio,
in the pinnacle of cigar land.
Well, no, of Ohio.
Oh, sorry.
Miami of Ohio.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all good. So, I play tricks on people though sometimes with that, but yeah. So I studied architecture and marketing. So, and then I went on to like a startup kind of scene and world and did some designing for apps and websites and doing a little bit of front end development, and that's kind of where Michael and I met. So if you want to go, Michael.
Yeah, I'm a little older than Ian by a couple years, even though I know I don't look it.
Yeah. And I'm younger than both of you, so go ahead.
So I went to Purdue for computer science. I'm Indiana born and raised, and started like a startup for ringtones, actually, for cell phones.
Oh, wow.
And it became one of the largest ringtone companies in the U.S. for a time there, as I was a young 23-year-old kid, didn't know what I was doing, and just trying to manage it all. And got really lucky out of college and was fortunate to sell that business. Actually, I sold it to the same guys that sold back when MySpace was a thing. They sold MySpace to Fox.
Oh, wow.
And they just had a huge exit there, and they wanted to kind of do the same MySpace type thing for mobile. And we had a large community, and ringtones was kind of a shifting landscape where everybody knew it was kind of popular for a time and then going away. And so they wanted to transition to business. And for me, being a young kid, I'm like, sell it, get out, cash out.
Yeah,
so
you're I'm pulling the handle of the slot machine. Come on, hit.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And was really fortunate to exit that business. And then, being like, I was like 26 at the time and didn't have any idea what I was going to do, so I guess I'm just going to take some time off. So I took like a year off and traveled and had a baby. Why my wife talked me into a baby at that point in my life, I don't know, but fortunate now that she did that. But
there's no right or wrong time to have a baby, just so you know, Michael.
certainly it was. My son is 14 now, so I'm very happy that it went that way. But so then I kind of got into. I had an e-commerce of the mobile entertainment. We invented a product called cell phone skins, which is like a vinyl decal that you stick on the phone. So I had kind of my first experience in e-commerce, and so got into actually an art website. We framed, matted, all print on demand, all made in America, all great stuff, and then kind of transitioned over time into some startup stuff. Used sort of my computer programming background, did that for a few years, and then it was right around 2016 that I just kind of took a flyer. And one of the businesses that we had been working on prior was sort of calculating profitability for Amazon sellers and understanding those kind of metrics. And so we took a flyer at a watch box actually, and it did really, really well the first year. And so kind of used that momentum to keep going. And the very next thing we did after watch boxes was humidors. And like I said, we failed. I failed horribly in the humidor market, and so glad that I did. I mean, I think what most people don't understand what's going on in the humidor market is most of these humidors that you find on Amazon are actually made by Chinese sellers. And so they don't even really smoke cigars. They don't. Right. They have no understanding of what it takes to store a cigar. Nothing. And so when you're buying this and you get this instruction card that looks like it was written by a third grader and doesn't have any, okay, it doesn't work. I mean, we've even found such dishonesty in that the gauges are like demonstrably false on purpose. Oh, what I mean is,
wow, I did not know it was on purpose, but I did know those gauges are horrible.
So what you'll find, and what we found is that if you'll be sitting there and we'll put a gauge that we've tested and we know, and it'll say like 35% inside the humidor, and the front gauge will be reading 65%.
Wow.
And you tell me whether that's on purpose or not, right? Because you and I know, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, well, it's not just one model, a lot of them out there.
Yeah, and I know for a fact that my first couple of humidors, the hygrometer on the front was way off.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I would just put in whatever to get it going, and I could tell within a month or two that my cigars were just dry as a bone. You know what I mean? And so that explains a lot of it. And, the thing about it is, I think the second humidor, like I said, was $150. It was cool looking. It looked like a treasure chest on top because it was like beveled over around and it had glass. And it was $150, but I promise you, they probably spent about $20 to make it. You know what I mean? It was just garbage. And
you could tell.
Yeah, you could tell it was not a fine quality. The wood was the finish. And I mean, dude, when I first opened the box and saw the Octador, that piano finish that you guys have, that black piano, oh, dude, that is just like, I don't know who's painting your black humidor, but that is like a work of art.
It's really hard to do. I mean, you have to get a completely sterile room, and it's one of the, we've had multiple people try to do it, and very few can do it well. So you have to be, and imagine the cost on those boxes is extremely high. And so like the painting is the last step. So if you screw that up, it's literally like a complete waste of the whole thing.
Man, I didn't think about that.
So it's high. I mean, you have to really know what you're doing in order to do these. And so,
to get like the right amount, so because we put that, there's a wood finish underneath it, right? That's kind of faint, and so it takes a very precise number of passes of paint. So it's not just we paint it once. It's no, this needs many coats, to get it to that exact color.
You and Michael are not out in the backyard with spray cans of paint
with the masks.
Sure, right. No, I mean, dude, that was one of the first things that caught my attention when I was looking at the Octador was just the beauty of the paint job on that humidor. And I mean, even Bryant was like, wow, that is beautiful. And I don't know that I've seen another humidor that comes in a color that was painted to that level of beauty. You know what I mean? You guys knocked it out of the park with that. And then you open it up and it just keeps on going. So, I mean, how did you guys get from the humidor that was a failure to where you are now? I mean, you're testing I'm assuming that your knowledge, you just dove in and started researching.
Yeah. It's constant iteration. So, I mean, Ian, maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the Hydro tray fun that we had, where we probably have like, I don't know, version 18 of the Hydro system that we have in there now, where it's just, you're just constantly small tweaks to just constantly improve and step it up. And it's a journey. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I would say like a big company ethos for us is to always be improving, to never get stagnant. Like, even now, I still think there's a lot that can be done to improve, our process of building the best humidor ever made. Like, I think that's our goal, right? And I think we're getting closer and closer to that. But yeah, to the Hydra tray was a big moment for us, where we had special camera equipment cabinets where we're driving the humidity down in the cabinet, testing different gel solution packets and different jars and different jar sizes. And basically at some point we came up with the idea of going, hey, why don't we just do a edge to edge humidification system? So because humidity rises, so you have even distribution of humidity as it rises through the box. And so we started testing that. And time and time again in these cabinets, it was outperforming basically any other humidification system on the market that we could find.
And it would last months. I mean, that's, especially depending on the time of year, you might be able to go 3-4 months, and in your location, of course. If you're really dry, it's probably not realistic. But one of the other problems we're having is too much humidification. You mentioned Florida. And I think a big problem with Florida, these guys over humidify. And so you have to kind of take that into account. That's why when you get the Military Humidor, you actually get 2 different solution mixes. And this is something we've kind of perfected over the last year, where if you're in a drier climate, we have a solution mix that has a much higher content of water. It's a propylene glycol mix. And then if you're in Florida, you don't want to use that necessarily because humidity will spike too high. You'll be sitting there at 75, 80%. You're going to over humidify your cigars. So we've kind of have that other solution that's more for your summer months and keep humidity down.
That's unheard of, that you're basically doing the work for your consumer so they don't have to figure it out. And I mean, hats off, because the quality of the construction is so superior from what I've seen. And then not only is your humidors the quality construction that's better than any that I've seen, you're also providing basically a 1, 2, 3 step. Here, you do this and your cigars are going to be taken care of. And that is so important for new cigar smokers, especially, but even guys that have been smoking for as long as I have. I don't want to have to figure it out. I got better things to do, like smoking cigars. I don't want to have to figure out how to make sure my cigars are going to be humidified. You guys are taking the work away from me and giving me just a quality product. I mean, I love that, guys. I mean, I think you are the one-stop shop for humidors. You don't have to figure it out. You can, because dude, everywhere else that you go buy humidors, you buy a humidor and now you figure out the humidification. You guys are doing it all in one, and I think that is where we need to be.
Yeah. One of our bigger problems is actually guys who do smoke cigars a lot, and they'll buy our humidor. They'll literally throw away the entire Hydra system, throw away the instructions, and then just like throw a Boveda pack in there and go, well, it's not working. and you're like, man, I've spent like the last 5 years of my life like honing this system to work this way, and you basically just threw it all away and just like come up with your own. I'm like, you got to trust what we've worked on.
And I think a big part of that though is, and I'll tell you, Michael, that like some humidors, the cheaper humidors that people buy, it may come with a humidification system because, they add up extra price into selling that, but what they're selling for humidification systems suck. So guys are just used to scooping that up and throwing that in the trash. And so we need to make sure that people are educated to know that you guys aren't just shipping out a bunch of junk in a box to add up the price. You're actually doing a one-stop shop so they don't have to figure it out. And I mean, so even the experienced guys, they need to take time to figure out that you guys have put in the work that we don't have to.
Yeah. And I'm sure depending on your climate, right? A Boveda might work just fine. You're in Florida, you could probably throw up. Anything. You probably don't need anything. It doesn't matter, right? So like, so I get calls a lot from Florida from people that, kind of yell at me like, well, where's the, they want the brick with the little foam piece in it. Where's that? I can't believe you didn't ship that to me. And I'm just like, okay, well, you can get one of those for 50 cents, right? Like that's not really what we're trying to do here. And if you live in Florida, you probably don't need to do much most of the year. But if you live in Colorado, you're going to need the full system for sure.
Now that's another chapter I want to talk to you about. It made me remember I want to talk to you about something else, and we'll get back to that. But so I want to go back a little bit further, like when you got into the watch cases and the humidors and you dove in, like what was wrong with the first humidor that you guys made? I mean, what was the failure of it?
Well, what wasn't wrong with it is more apt probably. Well, first we were focused on the low end of the market. So that was a big problem because when you start trying to, sell something for $30, most people don't realize, but if you're selling a product for $30 in the market, you can only really pay like, $6 to manufacture that item. And because at a $30 price point, the shipping and all the fees that come along with selling, and you really only you'll be lucky to make $5 on that. So if it costs
$6 and you sell it for $30, you're lucky to make $5.
Exactly. And I don't think most people realize that, but that's the truth. And so if you're buying a $30 humidor, what you're really buying is a $5 or $6 humidor at the cost perspective, and everything else is shipping and taxes and fees and all the other stuff that goes along with it. So that was the starting point, is we were focused on that low end market and trying to like get the cost really low. And it's really hard to do that. And so we come up, we had different things, but it's really simple, right? It doesn't have enough cedar. It doesn't have the right, we didn't really understand humidification like we understand it now. It didn't have.
Well, I got one question, and this is one of the big things that I see on your current humidors that impresses me. Is if you had a $30 humidor, how much quality went into the hinges on the humidor? I mean, they had to be like 10 cents, right? Or 5 cents.
Yeah. The reality is hinges aren't that expensive in general. I think.
But the hinges that you use now are impressive.
Oh, sure. You might go from 10 cents to $1.50, right? But hinges, the hard part about hinges is for us anyways, is and what we did originally is we just went on the market, found some hinges in a catalog and used them. And that's a lot easier than what most of these guys do versus like right now what we've done is custom design everything. Ian is brilliant at that. If you want to talk a little bit about kind of our current metal manufacturing.
Metal manufacturing. He does have an architecture degree, so he's good at building stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's kind of like architecture in small form for sure. But metal fabrication, it's timely, it's costly, but it really gives it that extra pop, right? It shows that one, it's perfect for that particular model. So that the extra care and the extra detail went into it, right? That it's purposeful. The one thing that we did notice too when we were doing a lot of this testing is a lot of those embedded hinges where they're actually recessed into the wood walls. They aren't necessarily installed correctly, and they can create a small gap in the lid seal. So during our testing, we were like, there's minor like millimeter gaps between the lid and the base because of this embedded hinge. And we said, well, what if we just make all of our hinges exterior? It's just let's take that approach and see if we can get a better seal on this humidor. And that was the result. We basically scrapped any embedded or any recessed type of hinge, and we said, no, we're going to go full exterior. We're going to do some really nice plated metal custom hinges, and kind of go the extra mile there.
I think that's what you see across the board is extra mile on everything that you guys do. And I mean, it's when you open up the humidor, it's obvious. I mean, it's quality. That's what we love about it.
Thank you. Yeah, details are everything in my world. So, I don't want to leave any, stone unturned, and everything needs to be scrutinized. It's a pursuit of perfection for sure.
It's a lot harder than people think. I mean, 2 years ago when we kind of just started getting into our own hinges and metal, it was honestly routine for us to throw away 50% of the hinges that we would receive from our manufacturers, partners, and literally just throw them away because the quality was not up to our standards. And it's really taken us over the last couple of years here to get to the quality of manufacturing that we want. And COVID was a big hit to that because a lot of these metal guys went out of business, and so you're just left with a smaller and smaller number to choose from. But yeah, and that kind of goes for the whole thing, right? When you start out in this business of mass manufacturing, you end up, when we first got started, 2017-ish, we would throw away 30% of what some of these guys would produce for us. Wow. Because we would we inspect 100%. Every single unit that goes out the door for us is inspected by our own team members, our own people. And that's rare. Especially at the scale that we're operating now. And so it's just, it's mind-boggling to me to think about, right? Like, you see this wood box and you go, oh, okay, but you don't really understand that, all the things that go into that and how difficult some of the things are to overcome. So.
Oh, well, Michael, I can tell you this. When I first really got into cigars, I decided I was going to build my own. And I can tell you that it is not easy. First of all, I'm not a big wood guy, so I don't know. That didn't sound very good, did it? I'm not a very big wood guy. But anyway, no, I think every guy thinks, oh, man, I'm going to build myself a nice humidor. And then when you start getting into it, you're like, oh, I ended up making a piece of crap. And so then I took a huge wood gun cabinet and I turned that into a humidor. And it was like a great idea, but that's all it was. Because it was like not airtight. It leaked. The humidification system I built in there was ridiculous. I had a humidifier in the bottom of the gun cabinet that blew humidity up into the gun cabinet. But to keep that humidity circulating through the gun cabinet was a nightmare because everything in the very bottom would be over humidified and everything in the top would dry out. And I was like, it looked cool, but it was a big piece of crap is what it was.
Yeah, that's a big problem with larger humidors. And that's one of the reasons why we haven't necessarily launched one yet, because it's one of the things we're working on is how do you keep that humidity even? And we're working on some fans and some other things to try to make sure that happens. Yeah,
it's not easy. And, I have... I have many humidors, but one of the humidors I have is like a refrigerator type. And I like it because of the amount of cigars it holds, but I don't like it because I see that some of my cigars are more humid, have more humidity than others. So, that's a problem. And, I've tried out different humidifier systems. I've had the Oasis system. I've had the Bovetta system. And so I'm with that particular humidor, I'm just in the same boat as a new cigar smoker trying to figure it out. And I've had it for over a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is that the one I see on your wall over there?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we're testing a bunch of those right now, and we mentioned kind of before the call that there's been some changes with the Department of Energy where a lot of those cheaper end, and we call them frigidors. Yeah, we own the trademark for the frigidor, so we're kind of trying to go down that road as well. But it's really difficult because the changes just happened literally to 2021.
So what are the things that make those out of whatever you call it, out of compliance? Yeah. Are they using too much
we're still figuring it out.
Or
it has to do with the volume of the refrigerator and the electricity that it uses. And if it were a larger unit, like if it was a larger space inside there, it would be compliant. But because of the size, and we're kind of afraid internally here that the Department of Energy went a little overkill and might have eliminated basically an entire market of product, or at least made it. I don't know if you were kind of following the hot water heater thing that happened a few years ago, but hot water heater pricing went from like $400 to like $800.
Yeah, I'm well aware. I had to replace one last year, and I was like, "What the hell?"
Yep. So we're kind of afraid that the same thing's happening in the low end refrigerator, like wine fridge and humidor market, where they've set these standards that are really hard to meet, and you have to. Thermoelectric right now is not even really possible just yet to be compliant. And so it has to be sort of have a compressor, and that makes it louder and, more cost. I mean, the cost on it might double. Yeah, it might double. So wow. What you could get over there, I don't know what you pay for that, but say it's $300 or $400, you might be paying $600 or $700.
Well, that one right there was $550. So that would be $1,000.
You might be paying $800, $900. Yeah, exactly. So it's really unfortunate because it was kind of we had already spent a year of R&D before we figured this out, and to come up with some really awesome stuff that we wanted to release, and then this kind of smacked us in the face and said, well, kind of back to the drawing board a little bit in terms of trying to find the right manufacturing partners and the right.
Well, let me tell you,
mix. And then
let me tell you, as a cigar smoker, here's what I want. Here's my ultimate want, okay? You build me one of those to where there is a hole in the top where I can pour my distilled water into, and there's a little level that tells me if it's high, low, or needs more water, and then I don't have to do anything else. You take care of the rest. I don't want to do anything.
Nice. Yeah, certainly possible. And
I'm taking notes.
Take notes. That's the home run right there. That's, what would you call that? That's the holy grail, where I just pour in a water and then y'all do the rest.
Yeah. I basically want to be like the Keurig of humidors, Just drop it in, boom. I got my coffee. Same with cigars, right?
I think the other thing we're focused on in that particular space is just making it a more beautiful box. I mean, making it look like a piece of furniture instead of a little refrigerator.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's one of the things I love about the Octador is it's just a beautiful piece.
Yeah. Because guys want to show off what they have, right? They want to show off their accessories and how they're housing their cigars, all of that. And I my interpretation of a fridge humidor is like, oh, it looks like a repurposed wine fridge.
Well, I mean, that's what it is, right?
It is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, in my opinion, as a designer, I'm like, this is kind of half-assed. This is not intentional, right?
No, it was just, we have these. Let's just make it another purpose so we can sell them to these guys too.
Yeah.
And the people that have done that, Rob, are not cigar smokers, unfortunately. Like the people that have taken that and repurposed it for this purpose, you could tell they don't understand. Just like you said, they're not really looking at, well, I need humidity on the top and on the bottom. They got to even this thing out, and they don't really even address a humidification system.
Right. And I mean, that's the issue that I've had with mine from day one. And so I've tried several different ways, and, it got to the point where, okay, I'm done messing with this. This is as good as I'm going to get it. You know what I mean? And so I'm not a guy that wants to mess with that. I'm the guy that wants to open my humidor, pull out a cigar, smoke it, and not have to worry about any of that stuff.
Yeah. And that's our goal. that's our goal to achieve that. I would definitely say.
Well, I think what you've done with your humidors, you have achieved that. And so going forward, I mean, what you've done on the research end and development, you guys have already hit it out of the park, and now you can just make badass humidors.
Yeah.
We're not stopping there. I think you might be surprised at some of the stuff we're working on. I don't want to give away the farm a little too much, but I mean, let's just say there might be an app coming at some point to measure humidity in your humidor, and really not even look any different than what you have right now, right? I mean, same. Imagine the Octador as it sits, or the Military as it sits, and it just works with an app, and it tells you when it's low, tells you what to do.
And see, I love that. I really look forward to that. Just from your hint there, I think I can kind of see the writing on the wall. And to right now, what I don't like about that whole scenario is I've got to piece all these different pieces together and put them in for myself. If you guys can sell me a humidor that has everything I want in one, that's the one-stop shop is what we want.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what I want. And I know a lot of cigar smokers, they don't want to mess with it. They just want it to work.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I don't buy a car and then I have to figure out how to make it work. You know what I mean? I just want to get in, go, put gas in it and go, you know?
Drive fast.
Yes. So that we don't need all the, I don't want to know. I don't want to buy a car and then I have to put the transmission fluid in. It comes that way. I'm ready to go. So that's what you guys are doing. And that makes it so much easier for us.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been trying. I mean, it's a really fun thing to do. I can't, I sometimes have to smack myself because I wake up every day. We have this shirt that says love what you do. And it's kind of cheesy, but it's really amazing. I guess similar to you, right? I mean, we literally get to wake up every day and play around with cigars and humidity and it's a blast. It's a total blast for us. And as we get to do this for a living, it's like a dream come true.
Well, I love the fact that it's a love and it's a passion. So you're diving in head first every single day to make the best humidor, because I mean, I think that, like you said, a lot of these humidors come out of China. They don't smoke cigars over there, and they're making the cheapest box possible. And when you put your cigars in it, you find out that it's the cheapest box possible because it's not doing anything other than it's a storage box. It's not a humidification box. And I mean, that's the difference between a real humidor and just a box.
Yeah. Well, and like we were talking about earlier, even some of them lie. They literally they know that there's a problem with it, right? Because they've seen on the market that people complain about not being able to obtain a certain humidity. So what they'll do is they'll fix their hygrometer so that pretty much no matter what the humidity is, it'll read 65, and you're like, oh, this is great.
This thing's working great. And, yeah, in fact, I didn't even put those numbers together when you were saying that earlier. If it was 35, it was showing 65 or 70 because they want you to think that your humidor is working correctly.
Yeah, there's basically a coil on the back of a lot of analog hygrometers, and all you have to do is turn it. And that's what they do,
and even our manufacturers that we use, they tried to in the beginning, right? They're like, oh, well, we can fix that. We'll just turn it. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that, right? That's not at all what we're trying to do here. We're trying to actually solve the problem, not rip people off.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a hygrometer, not just a display showing false information.
Yeah. We're like, there's an astronomical lie in the whole cigar industry about these.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
It's scary. It's really scary. And for us, we don't, we get our sensor out of Europe. And it's, in our opinion, the best sensor in the world for humidity. And so sometimes you'll even get these guys that will, put their hygrometer up against ours. Well, my other hygrometer that I bought for $5 on Amazon says that, your hygrometer is wrong. And I say, well, that's fine, but our hygrometer is out of Europe. We calibrate it on $100,000 machine that calibrates. So it's possible that it's wrong, but it also might be possible that yours is wrong, right?
Your $5 measuring device is wrong.
It's true. And so, like, I mean, who knows, right? I mean, things happen, but one of the cool things that we're excited about with the app is the ability to, because hygrometers in general, I mean, even our price point, unless you spend thousands of dollars, there's going to be a 3% variability there, right? So,
right.
Yeah, exactly. So people get hung up on this, 66, 69, whatever, but it's kind of hard, especially when you're talking about a big box. And that's the thing about the Octador. I mean, the bottom of the Octador is going to be closer to 70 and the top's going to be probably closer to 65. The middle gauge might read 65, 67, kind of in that range. And so people are trying to get that middle gauge to read 72. And actually that might be, 75 on the bottom and, 68 on the top or something. And so we try to educate people on that. But the interesting thing about what an app will do is if you want to adjust that, say you do put another hygrometer in there, even one of ours, and inside it's, you want it to read closer to the bottom, level, you could actually just punch that in on the app and say, well, it says 67, but I want it to read, 70 at this level, and it'll boom right there, update and do that. So kind of give you a little bit more flexibility in what you're measuring and what you want to see on the gauge and those types of things.
Now, let me ask you this. This is what I don't know. How long has Case Elegance been in operations? How long have you guys been in business?
We started in 2016 or January of 2016, actually. So about, I guess, 5 years now. And it's been
it's crazy.
I feel like, one of those things where you just kind of working to keep up with the growth and 80 hours a week, but you love it. Yeah. And to be completely transparent, you don't, the first few years, you don't make any money. I mean, you really just labor of love. You're trying to figure, it's like any new business, right? You're trying to figure it out. You're spending a bunch of money on stupid stuff and failing a lot.
Trust me, Cigar Talk knows all about that. So we get that part. You know what? If you don't love it, you won't stick with it. That's the bottom line. Because if you're thinking that I'm going to go into this business, a lot of guys do podcasts, and if a podcaster thinks they're going to jump in the podcasting scene and start making money, man, do you have a big surprise. But if you love it, you're not doing it, we want to make money, but in the immediate, I want to have fun and build the community and be part of the community. And that's what we've done. And so I completely get it. It's a new business. And I mean, how much stuff have you learned? Because when you jumped in, you had no idea where you were going. You know what I mean? Sure. So there's a huge learning curve there. And I know if you go back and listen to the very first episode of Cigar Talk, you're like, wow, that show is garbage, because the sound quality was so bad. But you stick with it because you love the community and you love being part of it. And so, I totally get that aspect of it. And that's why I wanted to talk to you about that. How long did it take you to where you've had a good product? You know what I mean? From 2016, when did you come out with the humidor that you said, you know what, that has Case Elegance name stamped all over it and we're proud of it?
Yeah. What are you thinking? I think it was 2018?
Yeah. Yeah, and we like we said, we were doing some watch boxes and a few other products, and
simpler, right? A watch box, you don't have to worry about humidity, so we were proud of that from day one. But the humidor definitely took a couple of years, I think, before we got some of the learning. Even then, I'm way more proud of the humidors that we're releasing now than even 2 years ago because of all the improvements. I mean, there's more cedar, for instance, in the humidor that you buy from us today than you bought from us 2 years ago. We have a silicone seal. We've completely redesigned the hygrometer from the very beginning. Yeah, inside out. The whole thing is completely different than 2 years ago. The Hydra tray is completely different from 2 years ago. We've got 2 different mixes of solution now. We didn't have that 2 years ago. So we've made giant leaps in the last 2 years that I'm way more proud of the box that you buy from us today. But I would say that our humidor 2 years ago was definitely one of the best on the market at the time, and even gone leaps and bounds above that now, to the extent that we're getting you're doing well when you're getting 8 to 10 knockoffs coming, and you got to beat them down with
right.
patents and all that sort of thing. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So like right now, your main presence is online. That's where your main presence are. What's the plan on moving into brick and mortar cigar shops?
Yeah. I think that's something we've talked about now for a couple of years, and we finally, I believe, got enough of a model diversification where we just launched 3 new models. They're, the military is one of them that we're talking about. 2 others you can find that I think are of a price point, of a
uniqueness,
breed, that we really think are going to do well in the retail space. So we hope to go. Last year we were going to go to some conferences and try to talk to some cigar stores and stuff. Of course, with COVID, none of that happened. So it's possible that we could kind of break into that space this year. Part of it is really just keeping up with demand, though. I mean, I know for 2 years, it feels like we've been struggling to keep up, to make enough boxes to even sell. And it's a good problem to have, but that also means you don't really have extra units to sit around at a retail store. And so we're kind of just now getting to that point where we've got enough manufacturing capacity that we can use some extra.
Well, and I'll say this, I think it's one of those things where you don't want to jump into 100 retail shops all at one time. I think that you have to stair step your growth into that market, because I see a relatable problem with cigar manufacturers. When I see a cigar manufacturer that makes really good cigars and then they start exploding and they can no longer keep up with that quality control. So you don't want to get yourself in a growth pattern that's so steep that you can't maintain that quality of control.
Yeah. For us, that's sort of one of those non-negotiable things, right? Quality. I mean, like I said, we inspect 100% of everything we sell, and we just won't compromise there, to the tune of if one of our partners gives us a bad, we'll turn down 50% of the units or 30% of the units. And I mean, they don't like that, but they know once you do it once, right, they won't do it again. And so I think that's kind of the mentality you have to have. For us, that's where it starts. And then from there, if we have enough to sell at retail, great. But if we're have to be sold out because we can't produce enough at the quality we want, then that's just the way it's going to be.
I would also say too, I think over the last few years, we've been trying to perfect, the customer life cycle as far as customer service as well. We want to follow up immediately after you make a purchase. We want to know how your seasoning is going. We want to make sure that you're the happiest customer of the humidor. And hats off to our customer service team, because they crush it. And that's something that we're really passionate about as well, as far as quality of customer service.
Yeah, and I'll say this, when I received my humidor, you guys have a great customer service center, because they send me emails and say, hey, how's everything going? You got your humidor. We're going into the process of making sure it's humidified correctly. And I mean, step by step, your customer service is right there with you.
Yep. We want to be at your fingertips, so you can text us, basically anytime. We want to help you along if you have pain points. We hope you don't have any, but we're there, right?
Well, and we really believe, we don't have, our team, our customer service team has been with us since 2016, 17, and they've trained along with us, and so they've gone through that journey. So they know, not quite as much as we do, but a lot. They know a lot, and we're on calls with them all the time, walking them through stuff, and so they're one of the most knowledgeable people probably in the industry on humidification and keeping your cigars up. And so we'll get emails from people that, of course, yell at us and tell us, and so I'll have to jump on there and call people and say, okay, let's walk through this, let's work through it, and what did you do and what's going on. But
so yeah, you've actually worked with some of the consumers on their humidors.
Oh, all the time. It's still, even now, all the time. Yeah. I mean, in fact, what was it, last summer, I think. It wasn't real until recently that we've transitioned the phone. Used to be phone support went directly to my cell phone. Wow. And I would talk to people. Yeah. And until that became to a point where it was overwhelming for me. I mean, you can only answer so many calls a day where you're like, this is all I'm doing. So then I had to transition it. But I'm so happy that I did that, because I learned so much from talking to customers. I mean, something as simple as telling consumers we have a little plastic tab that protects the battery in the back of the hygrometer. And you think that's that's a pretty basic thing that people would understand to do, and you wouldn't have to tell them in the instructions to take out the plastic tab. But I mean, when you start getting 4 or 5 calls a day of people like, well, my hygrometer's not working. And you say, well, did you take out the plastic tab? And they're like, what plastic tab?
Right.
And then you're going, oh, should have put that in the instructions. So it's just basic stuff like that you learn when you talk to the customers yourselves and start to get data around well, how can I just make this experience just 1% better? Just 1% better. Just 1% better.
Well, and I want to change gears here for a second, Michael and Ian. Coming up very shortly, we have a special promotion with you guys in the fact that if you buy a humidor, Case Elegance is also going to send you a challenge coin with Cigar Talk on one side and Case Elegance on the other, just to show our appreciation for you guys that are buying their humidors. And I'll say this, if you've bought one in the last few weeks, we'll still send you one. But I'm excited about that and we wouldn't just normally do that with any sponsor. We really love what you guys are doing, so we wanted to do something special for the people who buy the humidors from you guys.
Yeah, hopefully that coin comes in pretty quick. I think we ordered it a few weeks ago, so it should be.
It should be probably within the next 2 weeks is what I'm thinking. And the good thing is this show's going to air in a couple of weeks, so that'll be perfect.
Perfect. Yeah, we're super excited. It's really cool. I'm excited about it too. It's got a little coin on it. It says what did you call it? You called it a
challenge coin.
Challenge coin. Yeah, that's really, really cool. That's a great idea. When you mentioned that, I was excited.
I'm going to use it for poker.
Hey, are you a Texas Hold'em player?
Yeah. Michael's really good. I'm novice.
Well, when you guys come down to Texas, we'll set a game up, man. We'd love to play Texas Hold'em down here.
Absolutely. What part of Texas are you guys in?
I'm in Abilene, Texas, and we love poker so much. I'll tell you this: me and some guys have just recently rented out an Airbnb. And so for 4 nights, we're going to be at an Airbnb playing poker, smoking cigars, and drinking bourbon.
Nice. Yeah, I'm there.
Tap me in.
That's amazing. We have a monthly game with a bunch of guys here, and it's like one of those things where you just look forward to it every month, and it really doesn't matter win or lose, right? It's just more about the camaraderie and the fun.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I will tell you that I usually win, so that makes it even better.
I always win, of course, but that doesn't matter.
Right? Hey, I'll tell you this. I was invited. There's some guys that play down at the Leaf, which is our local shop, and they're pretty new Texas Hold'em players, but they're all like doctors and lawyers. And so one night they were missing a guy, didn't show up. So the Leaf guy calls me and he's like, hey man, they got a spot. Do you want to come down and play? And I was like, I'll be right there. And so I haul ass down there. And at the end of the night, this is no joke, I had taken every dime from every player, and it was a blast. And so, but the bad thing is, the next month when they had their game, I was actually at the lounge, and they did not invite me to sit down with them.
You got to learn. It's a long game, man. You got to give them a little bit just so you can keep back.
Yeah. My competitiveness keeps me from playing the long game with those guys.
It's way more fun. I've actually gone to like a low stakes table, and they got in Indiana. They have a casino within like 40 minutes of any person living in Indiana. That's one of the tropes here. And I sometimes would just go and like sit down at like a very low stakes 1-2 where it's just nobody really knows how to play, and I'll just act like I don't know how to play for the first hour. And then the second hour, just collect all the money, because everybody thinks I'm stupid. And
yeah. That's what I love to do, is go to the casinos and play the 1-2 and just take all the cash. But, the funny thing is, one time I went to, and I was playing at a 1-2 table, and a guy came over and sat down, and I immediately knew this guy was really good. And I was like, man, this guy's way better than me. I mean, when someone's really good. And within probably an hour, he had taken all my money. And I was just, and I asked one of the people sitting next to me, I was like, who is this guy? And she was like, oh, he usually plays at the 10-20 no limit. And I was like, well, what the hell's he doing over here at this table?
Yeah, he just wanted to come and have some fun. I played with Jason Alexander. I don't know if you know who that is. He's like from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played with him at Planet Hollywood one time. I was in Vegas or something. And he was like giving a show at the Planet Hollywood. And I think it was in his contract that he had to come play poker every once in a while. So he just sat down for an hour and I watched this guy. He played maybe 2 to 3 hands in that hour, but every single hand that he played, he had the nuts and won. Oh, and wow. He took his like $300, turned it into like $900 in an hour and then just left. And I was like, that's kind of a dick thing to do, man. Like,
right. Especially because you're there as a guy that's supposed to be like, an entertainment guy and you're
right. Yeah. I was like, well, I mean, good for him though. I mean, it's probably him. It's like his way of just,
well, he probably plays, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, he was good. It was really wild to watch.
Yeah. Now, is the poker tables open during the whole COVID thing?
Everything's pretty much open here in Indiana. We've kind of opened back up for a while, actually. I feel like since last summer we've kind of been open and everything's well,
in Texas everything is open 100%. Mm-hmm. In fact, in Texas, we're like COVID. What's COVID? We don't know what COVID is.
I forgot about it.
But we're also
Florida's the same way.
But we're also getting ready to pass a bill where you don't have to have a license to conceal carry anymore. It's like we're doing away with that. Texas, if you want to come to Texas, man, there's no rules here. We just do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, Indiana is not far behind. I think we actually just passed that same gun thing where you can carry without a license as well. So Indiana's like it's a kind of a hidden gem. I don't think people really talk about Indiana a lot, but for us, it's.
So how are the taxes in Indiana? Are they pretty low?
Taxes are low. State taxes is only 3%. But the cost of living is the other thing. You guys in Texas have, your housing costs is a lot higher. Things, it's a lot higher cost of living than here in Indiana. It's starting to creep up. I mean, in the last year, I feel like housing prices have risen 25 to 30%. That's no joke. Like literally that much.
Same in Texas, man. It's been crazy.
It's nuts.
I mean, I keep getting these housing companies that are sending me emails like, hey, we'll pay this much for your house right now. And we're like, we're not trying to move. So it's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's scary.
So we'll see what happens in another 2 years with the housing market.
It's the whole thing is a little bit scary. I mean, even with pricing, we're seeing this across our entire supply chain. Where in Europe, for instance, it used to cost us, $5,000 to ship a container of goods into Europe. We were seeing prices a month ago that were like $30,000 for that same container of goods.
No kidding.
Into Europe. So when you start hearing those kind of things and seeing them in the market, it makes you scared because you're like, well, how are they getting food? If it costs, you want to send a canned goods or whatever to Europe and it's costing you $30,000, you got to realize the price of the food's going to double when you do that.
Absolutely.
So it's a scary time to be alive because of a lot of these. I mean, hopefully some of this is temporary supply chain disruptions, but it's not going away. I mean, we're seeing our shipping costs is definitely up 30, 40% year over year. And we're not seeing it go down. So what that's going to translate to is all these guys are going to be raising their prices all across the world. You just choice.
And maybe we get to.
I was talking to a home builder the other day, and he was saying,
"Say again, Ian."
Oh, I was talking to a home builder, and he said, a normal house that he just built would have been 200,000 last year, and he said it was 330 this year.
Yeah, the price of lumber has gone crazy in the market.
Crazy.
And it's funny though because I watched a whole documentary on the prices of lumber because I'm a nerdy guy and I like to watch stuff like that. And anyway, they were basically saying that the prices of lumber with inflation, the price of lumber has finally caught up to where it should be from 20 years ago, where lumber was just ultra cheap for the last 20 years. And so it's the whole demand and building versus how many sawmills are available. And there's really not that many sawmills that produce a lot of lumber that is used for houses. So it's like the guys who are out there cutting trees aren't making any more money than they were 5 years ago. It's only the sawmills that are up in the prices because there's only so many sawmills out there.
Yeah. It's a scary thing. I mean, you start seeing this across every little piece, like we're paying now more the chips that I'm sure you've heard about this, you got Tesla and other manufacturers shutting down. Well, it's affecting us too, right? Because we have a chip inside of our hygrometer. And so our chip guy contacted us and said, hey, we can only get, 10,000 chips. And I said, well, we need 100,000 chips. And he goes, well, and I said, he's like, the price is triple. And I said, buy all the chips, because we don't literally we have no choice. If we don't have chips, we can't make humidors. So buy all the chips. And so I think that's happening across a large swath of everything that people buy. And so you're just going to see prices go up.
And what I really love the fact that, regardless of what political stance you have, I do love the fact that one of the things the Biden administration is pushing is American made chips.
Absolutely.
And let's not be dependent on some of these other countries for electronic chips that drive everything in our economy. And so
even ours is made actually, like I said, in Europe. And it's like, even there, they're having massive, and Europe is one of those things where they can go on strike. I mean, they could routinely go on strike for no reason or whatever reason. And it's like, that's just has a major impact on everything. And so I'd love to be able to buy anything I can buy here in America. I would love to be able to do it. And it's just really, really difficult.
Well, if they keep raising the shipping rates like they have been lately, I think we'll start seeing more manufacturing here in the States, because that was one caveat, is you could get things made overseas cheaper. But if the shipping prices exponentially go up, then you're going to have, hey, we might as well make it here.
Yeah, if you can find the workers. I mean, that's the other big problem that we're experiencing. We do have a facility here, and we really need to be running 2 shifts in that facility, and they're basically can't find enough workers to get that second shift. And this is in Utah.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that it's hard to find workers, and I don't. That just doesn't even compute for me as a 52-year-old. I'm like, people want to work, right? But not everybody does.
Yeah. Well, I think right now you have this temporary stimulus with the unemployment, and it's causing some people. I mean, it makes some sense, right? Because you're like, well, normally I pay a factory guy $15 an hour, $17 an hour, whatever the case may be. But if they can make, basically $2,500 a month not working at all, versus maybe they make $3,000 or something working, they're just going to sit at home. And so I think that's kind of intentional, because they're trying to stop the spread of COVID or something. I don't know, but it's created a huge problem, because you have demand way up and then you have the workforce way down. And so the supply crunch is real, which is another reason kind of prices are going up. So hopefully when that's over and people are forced to go back to work,
and that's been a big thing here in Texas, because, and like you said, in Indiana, same too, is we're 100% open now. Well, back whenever we were 50% closed, we only needed 50% of the workforce. But now that 100% is open, it's like businesses that are now allowed to be open, they don't have the workers, because they're still paying those, payments on unemployment.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough situation all around. And I think all the manufacturers like us are just trying to adjust in the best way that we can. And you have this growth where everybody decided to start buying things online in the last, 12 to 18 months instead of buying it at the store. And so that's shifted all the supply chain. And then on top of it, people stopped working for months at a time. Factories shut down for months at a time. And so you just have compounding effects. And so everybody's just really trying to keep up. So you mentioned kind of going to retail. That's one of the hard problems, is just like, can you make enough to supply the retail channel?
Right. Can you have that much inventory sitting? And especially, I mean, how do you combat that? I mean, it's like, I think that if your humidors are in shops, they sell because people get to see them in person, versus how many people are still just going to buy online. You know what I mean? That's a tough call.
I would love to talk to some of your audience and your community about that, because our experience to date has been that the purchases at cigar stores and those type of things for humidors is pretty low. And we can't really figure out why that is. I mean, I don't think they really push it. I think their price points are really high. Like I go into my cigar stores here and it's like, they want to charge $400 or $500 for a pretty basic humidor. And so like it's like if we send our goods to these cigar shops, are they even really going to sell them properly versus what we're able to accomplish online with videos and walkthroughs and tutorials and the whole deal. And
well, I would love to
navigate those waters.
I'm going to give you this open invitation right now. I do a video herf every weekend with the listeners of Cigar Talk. And sometimes there's, 6 guys on there. Sometimes there's 25 guys on there, and we all smoke cigars and drink bourbon, but we'd love to invite you on to one of those, and you can ask these guys questions. Cause talk about where I get my information from is these guys who are hardcore cigar smokers, and they'll tell you straight up, they're not afraid to hold back and give you the information that you would love to get, because talk about a focus group, man, these guys, they keep me on track. I love it. We've done certain things throughout the years to change up Cigar Talk, and I can go to these guys and say, hey, what do you think about this? And they're like, no, we don't like that. So we don't do that anymore. You know what I mean? Or we quit doing this. Let's bring this back. I don't know if you're aware, but I think for like 6 months, we quit doing interviews and we just talked to people, or we just talked to each other about cigars we're smoking and bourbon and stuff. And we had a meeting with our guys, and they were like, man, we would like for you to bring back the interviews. We love the interviews, even if you only do one a month. And really, since they told me that, we've been doing one every week. So
nice.
We listen to what they say, because, if you're not listening to your consumers, your people that are always engaged, then you're missing the mark. So we would love to have you on, and we'll talk about that a little bit later after the show.
For sure. Yeah. That's the same thing as us talking to consumers, and, and that's why a lot of times I'll just pick up the phone and call these guys. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Direct feedback and brutal feedback. Honesty is honest feedback drives innovation, right? So we're all for that, and we promote that, and we want the honest feedback of how to improve, right?
Yeah, I get these emails all the time from like new listeners, and they're like, hey, I just found your show. I love your show. We love what you do, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, that's nice. We love that. We love to hear that. But what we really want to hear is where we can improve, because that's the feedback that's so valuable to us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's hard to get negative feedback.
One of the struggles that we have too is that a lot of times people will, complain about something, and it's like, we know about it, but in order to get that fix into the supply chain, right, and then get it released, it might take 9 months or longer to like fix an issue that we know about, or to improve on something. And so it's like you kind of have to work through that. And so we've kind of done some really cool things with, even upgrading the Hydra tray. We'll have a new version come out, and, if people have problems, we just send them the new version. It's really easy to kind of pop that in there. Same with the hygrometer, right? We'll release new models of the hygrometer and be able to send those to people. So it's kind of been a pretty upgradable experience that's done a good job, I think.
Well, I love the way you guys are so intent on making a quality product. I think that there's just so many humidors out there that are just a box. And, I hate to beat it to death, but, the companies that are making cigar boxes just to sell it as a box, and you guys are actual cigar smokers that care about the level of humidity and the quality that you provide. Because at the end of the day, I want to smoke a good cigar. And if I don't have something that's keeping my cigars at a quality level of humidification, I'm not getting what was intended from that roller who made that cigar.
Yep. And keeping the integrity of the taste profile of the cigar.
Yeah, and that's something that, you don't even think about, is maintaining the proper taste so that you get to experience what that blender back in Nicaragua intended. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yep.
Ian, I would like to take a little bit of time here, if you don't mind, and kind of walk through the military unit that we just launched, since it is kind of our capstone model just take a little bit of time on it, if you don't mind, Rob.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so I'm on my laptop, so I'm gonna give this my best shot. All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna actually take a bathroom break real quick. You guys go do this.
Yeah, so this is the Military Humidor. It's a beast, This humidor has, like I said, that chai finish. So it's just like basically this matte green finish, and it has all this custom hardware of this shiny polished gunmetal. So this is, like I said, all custom milled, manufactured, one of a kind metal. Something cool that we did add on here is the accessory drawer. Let's see, angle this a little bit. And
I love the accessory drawer, Ian. I mean, to be able to keep your cutter and your lighter right there where you need it, and you have no idea how many cutters I've lost.
I do, actually. So that's why I did it. So I was like, I can't keep losing this stuff.
I mean, you spend $100 on a cutter and then you lose it. So I love the fact that there's a place for it.
Yeah, intentional, right? So what's cool about this one, though, which I've never ever seen on any humidor, and to go along with the military theme, I included basically some gun foam in it. So I'm actually going to take out the whole drawer.
Sure.
Or show you. So what's cool about this is it includes basically this like gun foam, right? So you'll see this a lot in, military travel, like Pelican cases. And so this has been like custom cut for one of our accessory kits called the Gunmetal Edition accessory kit. So here you can, remove, your travel case and your lighter and your cutter, and it sits all in there. And it has this really cool diamond pattern on it. I actually got this idea from a champagne gift that I sent Michael for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
So we added this really cool, foam in here. And if you don't want the foam, right? If you don't want this accessory kit, you got all your own stuff. It actually comes out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So you can remove the whole thing, and, because I know, cigar smokers have their own preferences of what they have. So
some guys have their favorite cutter, their favorite lighter.
Exactly. Something you could do, I don't necessarily encourage it, but a lot of the Pelican cases you can cut your own. So if you need to change the shape of these a little bit, you can take an X-Acto and try to cut it. But it is intended for kind of the accessories that we have. So that's one of the really cool features, I would say, of the humidor. That's totally unique. You will not find it on any other. So let me put this in real quick. So we talked about hinges too. So there's some pretty badass hinges on this. Real big, beefy hinges to hold the lid.
Yeah, I love the fact that you went with the piano hinges. I think they're classy, but I also know they're sturdy, very sturdy.
Yeah. Real sturdy. And the designer side of me has to say this, but I went with, the polished metal to, contrast the matte finish. And we do have, the stencil work, and it's subtle. I didn't want it to be too loud, but it's on the sides, and it adds that nice little flair to the box that you won't see on any other. It also has some carrying handles, again, totally custom made. You're going to need them for this.
For you guys that haven't, I've actually held that in my hand. That thing is a tank. It is heavy. Yeah. It's got nice handles. But, dude, I love the buckles on both sides, too.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was, obviously inspired by Foot Lockers. So I wanted to go with that theme. It also does add some function. It kind of clamps the lid just a little bit more.
Oh, it's airtight, man.
Yeah, it's a tight lid already. It's heavy, and we're really careful on the lid construction to make sure that it's tight. All of them are tested, but this adds just that extra little oomph to it, right? And it's kind of a cool opening experience as you open it.
Like a ritual.
Yeah, it's the ritual. It's like, I'm getting into my baby humidor. So the other cool thing we did here too is, again, I'm going to try my best to handle this. But some of the feedback that we had from the Octador was, I don't necessarily want to remove the whole upper tray every time. So what I did is I created a sliding tray. So that way you can actually, if you have cigars piled here, you can grab them. If they're over here, you can slide and grab them from down here.
And I like that because, and for me as a cigar smoker, like I separate my cigars in my humidor by like what type of cigars they are, not by brand. I separate my cigars by if I'm going to smoke a medium, I'm going to smoke a medium plus or a full, or then I'm in my top tray, I'm going to put the top echelon cigars like my Alec Bradley Rare and Fine, my Opus X. I like to separate out my cigars, so I love the fact that you made it a slider so I can get to the cigars that I'm looking for.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not a big disruption, pulling out everything to get to what you want. And it does have, it is removable, so you can remove it. It has a little bit of branding on it. And then in the bottom, again, we have, here's another really cool thing that kind of goes unmentioned, I think, but we've custom manufactured these rubber gasket seals that go in the back of the hygrometer. And this just creates an extra level of protectiveness against any air leakage. So this fits really tightly in the back, and it has, little slots for the sensor right here.
Gotcha.
So this plugs into the back to really create that airtight seal in the front. Because some customers are concerned, about maybe it leaking, but after the custom, engineering that we've done to the hygrometer and also going that extra level and adding this seal, that's not going to happen. So,
well, and we make the hygrometer so you can pop it out for a couple of reasons. One, so you can calibrate it, you can replace the battery, you can replace the whole hygrometer if it goes bad, whatever the case may be. So that's been a big point of contention. People don't like holes in their box. And so we've kind of tried to mitigate that with a really tight seal on that whole sort of apparatus. And it really doesn't, at this point, like it's no big deal.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then in the bottom too, I tried to angle it a little bit so you can see it, but we have again, the recessed Hydra tray. So, one thing that really always bothered me about my humidors was I had this really awkward jar or, some other humidification device, especially for a glass top where, I couldn't stack any cigars.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. I had the same frustration on one of my older humidors, and it's like functionality, it wasn't a problem, but with my mental picture of how I wanted my cigars, it was just in the way.
Yeah, I hated it. And you not only lose, the stacking ability this way, but you lose it this way.
Right.
So you lose a lot of space there to be able to store cigars. And also the humidity will just rise in that one corner.
Right.
Yeah, we've noticed that a lot. I don't think people realize this, but there's hot spots. So when you have that sort of, smaller humidity, maybe just a jar or something, it'll create it might be 75% humidity around that jar, but you go to the other side of the box. And if you measure that other side of the box, it might actually be 65, right? Because it just creates that sort of pockets, especially in a larger humidor. So we try to mitigate that with a larger tray on the bottom to spread it out more.
Well, I remember back in my early days, I was using some system that uses the little balls that get big when you pour the solution on them, but it fit in these 4 little jars that were 90-degree angles on 2 sides and rounded on the front. So they had to go in the corners. And so when you put 4 of those in there, you completely ruin, like Ian said, the stackability because they're taking up all this space and they're on all 4 corners.
Yeah, it creates a really awkward, space inside the humidor.
Well, and then I went to a system that used a sponge tray, but it Velcroed to the top. And what really sucked about that, and what really sucked about that is it was a glass top humidor. So when you look in there, all you see is this sponge thing with Velcro on it. It was ugly. But then also over time, the stickiness would, because of the humidity, would become unsticky and it would fall down and land on top of my cigars. And I was just, very frustrated. So that's why I am a cigar smoker that appreciates what you do, because I've been through all the BS that goes with humidors. So I love the intent that you did on the design on every piece.
Thank you. Yeah. And again, it was my frustration too. It's just, I was like, you're just ruining the design of the humidors because of this awkward, crappy looking humidification system. And that's kind of where this recessed idea comes, where it's actually just sitting in the base of the humidor, right?
Yeah, it's not in the way.
Completely hidden. Yeah. And the other thing too is when you do have to refill it, it's good to move those cigars around. It's good to get that variability. So it's actually kind of encouraged, to rotate your cigars as you do refill it. So it kind
we do get some complaints, from people. I think that's one of the big things. It's like people like, oh, why don't you make a system where you can slide the tray out from the back, fill the tray in, and slide it back in? And we've thought about it, and I think it creates another gap, an air gap in the box. But the other thing that it does is it now just kind of creates this sense of, well, I'll just leave my cigars alone all the time. And then you're going to get your cigars on the bottom are going to be more humidified than your cigars on the top. So kind of we force the rotation by making you take it all apart and do that.
I got you. That makes sense.
Yeah. You need to be rotating your cigars to get that even distribution of humidity.
And it depends. If you're in Colorado, you might have to, it's kind of, you might have to do it every couple of weeks or once a month. If you're in, in Indiana during the summer, to be honest, I mean, I fill the tray up maybe once or twice a summer and it lasts the entire time. So it's kind of depends on how many cigars you have in there, how dry they are, all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
A lot of variables. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the bottom, we have the handy dandy Hydra tray, which has been totally custom engineered on our end to hold the crystals. So that will go in here. And, we spent a lot of time on video tutorials, like kind of walking the customer through how to properly season and maintain humidors. And
talk about the cedar for a second, Ian. I think that's a kind of a missed point in a lot of these.
Yeah. So right here in the back wall, you can see all of, these new humidor models that we're coming out with. We're lining the entire inside with with large, thick pieces of cedar, which is actually not standard, like at all in humidors. A lot of times you'll see, just a veneer. But we've noticed we've been experimenting a lot with just adding large pieces of cedar in the box, and the long-term maintenance of that becomes infinitely easier. It also seasons the cigars even better. You pull out the flavor profile of the cigars much easier.
I think if you take apart a similarly priced humidor, you'll probably find 50% or less of the cedar than what we have in this box. So we've got at least 2 to 3 times the amount of cedar in this humidor than you'll see across the market. And it really shows.
And that does not surprise me at all. That, I mean, like you said, with the cheap, faulty hygrometers, I mean, if I'm going to save money there to ship out a product, why would I not, skimp on how much cedar I'm putting in the box as well? And some humidors, I question if they actually have any cedar in the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild, and cedar is kind of hard to work with because it'll warp and move, and so there's really a lot of manufacturing tricks that you have to do to actually put a lot of cedar in the box. It's not that simple where you can just put more cedar in. You actually have to do it in certain ways that make it so that it doesn't warp on you in the long term. You're not getting like really ugly box after 6 months of having moisture in there. So those are just some of the stuff that we've had to kind of work through over the last couple of years. And I think people don't understand. I mean, that box, in order to get that military unit on the market, COVID was a little bit of a factor here, but it's easily, what would you say, Ian, like 18 to 24 months is probably the time till we had, fully designed, ready to go to on the market is like 18 to 24 months.
Yep. I would say.
So,
like we've mentioned, everything is custom. So it's not just, I'm picking from a catalog. It's right. Everything's been thought through. So
I'm guessing that my humidor where I just pour the water in the top hole is going to be a few years out.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, people, like I said, I think even for me, when I first got doing this, it's like you have a new idea and you're like, oh, well, let's launch that. Right. And it's like, it's just not that simple. And then even when you do, you have to launch it in somewhat of a small quantity, because what you realize doing this long enough is that there's going to be stuff that you miss and you're going to want to make changes. So we typically will kind of restrict that initial order to a smaller quantity, so that if there's anything somebody complains about, even something just a small, minute thing, that we can go and make that change in the next batch that we order and just continually improve. Versus if you order a huge quantity, now you're kind of stuck with that in the supply chain until you can move stuff out. So we've learned a lot about how to make sure that we're doing this the right way. It's fun, a lot of fun.
So tell me a little bit about some of the other products that you guys offer us too, because we always mention the leather man bag that originally I called it a purse, just because it drives Bryant crazy. But man, that's a good looking leather bag you guys offer, and the price point on it is really nice.
Yeah. I mean, that bag actually, we've experimented with bags for a couple of years. We have another brand with a bag that's like a water. It's called Glen and Lock, and it has it's like made out of this PVC material. It's like an indestructible. We like drug it behind a car, and all these videos of us doing some crazy stuff with it. And so we kind of took some of those learnings and made this, like, we went and sourced. It took us months and months and months to find this type of leather. It's called Crazy Horse Leather. And it's cow leather, it's not horse leather, but it's just like this really thick, just beautiful. Like, you will just, it's only sold one place in the world. I'm not even gonna tell you where, because I don't want anybody else to find it, but it's gorgeous leather, and it's so thick and so hardy, and it will like wear beautifully. And it's a very time consuming and expensive process to make. And so that bag, we've had a hard time getting traction with it. I think there's a lot of competitors in that bag space, and I don't think people realize the value that we kind of brought to the table. And so we've kind of just lowered the price to a point where it's a no-brainer for people, but we're not making a ton of money.
I was going to say, you're not making much money on it then, because it's
making hardly anything on it right now. We're really just trying to get sort of a following with it and to see. So if you buy this bag, you are getting a steal, and it's a beautiful weekender. It's really, really nice. And then we've got kind of a leather journal and a wallet and everything that goes along with it, like you'd expect to have kind of a whole experience with it. But leather goods, I just think there's so many out there, and it's really hard to show the value of a leather good online. Without touching it and feeling it. And so I think that's one of those that if you found it in retail would do really, really well comparatively to the other products on the market. But when you show it online, it's like, well, there's
40 other ones
on Amazon.
And that's the downfall of online, is it becomes more about price point versus quality, because you can't see the quality online.
For sure. And it gets to be difficult to, it doesn't push us to innovate. So we're experimenters. So we're going to launch something like that. We're going to see how well the market what the market says about it. And if the market tells us, we don't really care that much, right, about your innovation. We don't care that you spent a year sourcing this leather to have the best leather. We don't care that you put a pocket in it that's for for a laptop that, no other leather bag on the market really has a laptop pocket like ours, and just the internals and everything about it. It's an amazing bag. And, but the market just doesn't care that much. It wasn't solving a big enough problem. And so,
right.
It is what it is.
It's considered a luxury item. And, to me, if you're going to go out and get something that's a luxury item, I want the best. And so it sounds like the type of leather that you guys are using puts it in that category.
Yeah. And exactly. Yeah. We've actually, that bag has been a journey of love for us, not one of profit, but one of love. And so if you want it, get it now, because I don't know how much longer we'll keep doing it, just because it's just not, it's not that exciting for us. We want to do stuff that we love and that the market appreciates. And that's one of those things where we don't want to be another just Me Too product there. And I think it's kind of turned into that, especially since the value. Again, you go look on Amazon, you can get the crappiest leather, bag for $50 on there, and
right.
Nowhere in comparison to what we offer, but people still, I guess, prefer that in this category. So we're kind of like, well, whatever,
Right. And that's the thing that shows that your passion is in the cigar industry. And so to me, you guys have completely did a 180 from what the cigar market is used to. as far as humidors. And when I opened up the Octador box, I was just like, I mean, the first thing that caught my eye, and I say this all the time, is just the beauty of that piano black finish that you guys did. I mean, I haven't seen another humidor that looks that pretty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, we think we've got the best manufacturing partners in the world, and we've taken years to build up the expertise, and so we're really happy with our positioning in that market, and we think, I mean, sky's the limit. I mean, we have like 17 new models that we were trying to launch this year. We just launched 3, and we've got a bunch more that we hope are coming, but it's one of those things where it's really, really difficult right now to get stuff out the door. Just from a manufacturing capacity standpoint. And so we're working our butts off, but we got some cool stuff released and even more cool stuff coming. Just like you said, for us, we see the same things you do, right? You want a bigger model. You want it to be beautiful. You want it to work flawlessly. And that stuff all takes a lot of time to do properly. And so we're just taking the time that's necessary to make sure we do that. So,
well, the main thing that I love is the quality and also the aesthetics, how nice it looks. So if I'm a cigar smoker, I have like capacity, and I usually keep, 200 to 300 cigars on hand. And so I'm going to store my cigars in one place, but there's select cigars that I keep in my humidor. You know what I mean? Not just in my refrigerator. Yeah. And so that's the piece that you guys have really done well, is making a quality piece that I'm just not storing cigars in. I'm proud of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we want to make this experience, right, where you walk over to your humidor and you got your buddies with you, and it's like an experience where you open it up, it smells amazing, and you pick it out, and they're like, "Wow!" Like they get it. They're like, "Oh, this is cool! Like this is a cool experience." And that's what we're all about, is trying to create that experience every time.
Well, I can say every time I've opened the Octador, I hear angels sing.
I don't know about that, but
trumpets, a flock of doves fly over the shed.
That's going to be in the next model, I hope.
Here you go. Well, hey guys, I want to say thank you so much. I really do appreciate you taking the time to come on the show with us and introduce the guys behind the business. What I love about these type of interviews is when people know of a company, all they know is like, there's a big building somewhere and there's this company making these products. But when these interviews happen, we get to meet the guys and find out that they're just regular guys like us, and they have a passion to build something and they want to build the best that they can. So we appreciate you taking the time and letting our guys get to know you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. I mean, obviously, we couldn't do this without the support of guys like you and your community, and the cigar community. That's the thing that honestly makes me love even more what I do. Is that it's like a bunch of guys trying to help each other out, and it's like there's even among competitors in this space, it's just so friendly and so just welcoming, that it's really unlike almost any other industry that I've been in. I mean, it's just a great industry to be a part of. So
yeah, it really is. And I'll give this example before we go. I was talking to one of our Light 'em Up crew members, and his son had a birthday not long ago. And, his son smokes what we consider to be dog rockets, just not very good cigars, but he's young and he's learning. And they went to the humidor, or the local brick and mortar, and they went in the humidor and bought some cigars. And anyway, while they were there, just a couple of guys that they didn't know for his birthday bought him like a Padron 1926. And he was telling me, nice. My son won't appreciate that 1926 because he's not experienced enough. And I said, yeah, but that's the beauty of the cigar community. I mean, when complete strangers will turn around and buy a kid they don't even know a $30 cigar, that's a great community.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, well, hey guys.
I agree. And I think it's a business I could be in long term too. I love it.
Oh, absolutely. Well, hey guys, thank you so much for taking the time, and we will be talking to you real soon. And if you guys want to check out the humidor lines and everything else that Case Elegance produces, look down in the show notes. There's a link down below. Click on the link, go by, check out what they have. If you use the code Cigar Talk, you get free monogram on anything that they make. So anyway, guys, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that interview with Michael and Ian. Those dudes, man, they are impressive to me because they're following their heart and their passion. You know what I mean? They're just like, because their degrees are not exactly geared towards what they are doing now. So, I mean, it's like guys going, you know what? I did all this. I checked the boxes, what I was supposed to do. Now I'm going to do what I really am passionate about. Yeah.
It's time to have
fun. So hats off to those guys. You know, they're younger. I say they're younger. They're younger than us. That covers a wide spectrum.
Yeah, not that long.
So
we in between the baby boomers and the millennials. So we got part of both of that craziness, man.
Oh, yeah.
We got part of both of that crazy because we the started the video games.
Oh, dude.
We the started that
We
stuff.
were doing video games in the 70s.
Yes.
So
standing in front of them damn things, man. You see my quarters? You see my quarters? Don't come over here.
Dude, that's all gone.
It's gone.
I mean, Luke, do you ever play video games at a arcade?
There's not any of that.
See?
There's
What about the one in the mall?
Look, you see his face.
yeah.
No.
Like,
No.
they're all garbage.
Right. All the games are garbage.
Especially.
Japan, it's still a huge market.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Now, what about
Bigger than it ever was.
so? What about like the VR? Is that taking hold yet?
In Japan, it is.
Not,
Because they have it in every damn thing.
yeah.
It's not just games over
You
there.
can't really go and do VR.
Well, like here in town at prime time, you can go do VR. Have you done it?
No, but I have the same system.
Oh, see, he got
Really?
his own system. Why would I go to prime time when I could go into my own room?
But that's my point overall. Is that industry has grown into home
Oh,
entertainment?
heck yeah.
It's not a.
You don't have to go anywhere.
I mean,
anymore.
maybe in Japan, like he was saying, it is.
But see, they all
that's
about
because
retro.
they've evolved.
Yeah, but they about retro over there because you go old Levi's that you trying to get rid of the red thread Levi's. You man, I don't even want to wear these no more. You can sell them for $100-$200 in Japan. Jordans, if it still has a sole on it, you can get $200 in Japan.
Wow.
Also, like a lot of fighting games.
Fighting games, yeah.
Stuff like
They
that.
love that
The new
retro.
ones are still- well, the new
Do you
ones
remember
are
the
still-
first karate game, dude?
Oh,
I mean, it was two guys
Yep.
dressed in white
White.
geese.
and they would
Geese,
and
whatever
they,
they're
and
called.
they were throwing kicks that went straight up.
Yes. I mean, that was the first arcade
Yes, experience.
karate game. And now, oh, dude, have you seen the previews to Mortal Kombat?
I've watched the movie.
Oh, okay. Lay it on me. Is it good?
Dude, yes.
Okay, because
The
that's
evolution
on
of it.
that's on my list.
You go back to the
watch.
old ones, you like, nah. They brought the story to it. They introduced a new character. I'm gonna shut up. They introduced a new character that is bought into it because of who his lineage is. It's good. It's good. It's good. It held my attention, and that's hard to do when we had so many Mortal Kombat Evolution, all the rest of them, the Mortal Kombat movies. For it to hold my attention, I was like, yeah, they did what they needed to do. So
Cool. Well,
it's a good movie.
Because I did not really care for the lizard monkey movie.
Lizard monkey. Oh, you talking about Godzilla and Kong?
Yeah, I didn't care for that.
I was like, lizard monkey.
I expected Kong to totally kick his ass.
Because he can, man. But it's a Japanese movie, so who are they going to pub up?
They ruined it.
Godzilla.
Yeah, but was it a Japanese movie?
It was. Yes.
I thought it was an American movie.
They had American characters in there, but Japan had a lot to do with that. A lot.
Well, they ruined it because the monkey.
Because we know who Kong is, man.
The
we know
monkey
who Kong is,
always
man.
wins.
We know who Kong is. He
Yeah.
fights different. Freaking Godzilla has Tyrannosaurus. He got alligator arms. You can't. How you gonna fight Kong with that, man?
Right. You either have the ray
Yeah, that's it.
or you have the tail.
And what did Kong do in the first movie? He grabbed the pterodactyl and just ripped his head off.
Right.
So now you don't have a ray, but he comes against Godzilla. They chained him down. See, they tried to serve him up.
They did.
They chained
They
him
had
down.
him on the boat.
Yeah, chained down, and they yelling, "Unchain him! Unchain him!" You should have unchained him when you saw dude was coming.
You remember the scene where the daughter goes out on the deck and they
Yes.
touch fingers?
Yes.
I was thinking Kong was not, he was super strong, but he was stupid.
Why?
Because if he would have snatched up that girl, now you better unlock me and let me off of
she
here.
was the only one that could talk to
I
him
don't
because they
care.
didn't even know he knew sign language.
I don't care.
That blew their mind when he can talk.
Hey,
yeah, Kong. That's how bad Kong is. If he could talk.
If I was Kong, I would have snatched her up and I would have given them some sign language with the other finger. You know, it's like, what do you think about me now?
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Unbolt me.
You're wrong. Man, did you hear? It's going to be $180 billion divorce.
I thought you were going to say it's going to be 180 degrees.
No,
I was like, this climate control shit is getting out of hand.
Getting way out of hand. No, $180 billion divorce.
180 billion?
Yep.
Who is that?
Bill Gates and his wife are filing for divorce.
Are you serious?
Serious as a heart attack.
Wow.
You know how that's like Warren Buffett getting divorced. That's so much money that's involved.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
That's too much money.
You know what? Let me tell you why two people that have been married that long get a divorce with that much money involved.
Why?
Because at one time she said to Bill,
here we go.
Bill, I think I want to get a new airplane. And he said, I don't think we should spend the money. And she said, fuck you, give me half. Because other than that, she can do whatever she wants to do.
I remember, I think it was Eddie Murphy said this joke about when Johnny Carson was getting a divorce. And he's like, Johnny Carson, worth almost $1 billion. His wife, no job. So one day she comes in, here, honey, here's $86 today. Here's $1 billion. Right. And then she gets mad and says, I want a divorce. Right. And he was like, well, take your $86 and get the heck on up out of here. But it was like, why? Why?
Yeah, that, you know what? That's a conversation that I'm not allowed to have.
True. You know what I did? True.
Only single men get to tell that story.
Can have it. Or Eddie Murphy, who's had, 9 wives? Right.
I've been married 26 years. I'm not going
that route. No.
Yeah, my honey is good at whatever she wants to do.
I got $200. What you want?
Hey, I got $200, and she says, no, I got $200. That's the way works.
That's the way this is going to go. I have a house and a van and $200. Where are you going?
Right. I'll be in the shed.
But get it off my yard. I can see you taking the shed.
Oh, you know I'm taking the shed. I mean, I've already thought if I just put a hole in the wall right here, I can pee right out that window.
God. Oh my God.
What else do I need?
That's it, baby.
I can put a hammock in here.
What is it?
Hey, you know what? Let's put it on a raft.
Deliver the food. Who is it? Uber Eats. I don't have to leave. I can just stand at the wall and sit back down.
I'll put this sucker on top of a couple of rafts.
Oh my God.
Dude, I'll be up and down the Mississippi.
Now, you dangerous. You playing with the Mississippi. There's 2 rivers in the world. You don't play with the Nile and the Mississippi.
You got that right.
You don't play with them.
That. You know what? For a second, I said, "Are we recording?"
Yes, yes, we are. I'm glad you thought.
Wow.
I'm so glad you thought. Whew.
Guess I won't go down that road.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyway. The producer says we should probably wrap it up. Just so you know.
Before we get canceled.
Hey, just so you guys know, during the break of the interview, me and Bryant played a drinking game.
Yes.
And I lost.
And it got bright in here.
Everybody look, we're going to say
the last third.
Definition Cigar, and it's still looking like a champ.
Last third, and it's still.
It's not unraveling.
None.
It's oily still. It's
and good.
I'm impressed with the burn all the way down. So you know what? Now I'm gonna have to test one on the next show.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
You know what I mean? Let's do a 6-month test.
Hey, I don't have a problem.
Well, okay, not
That's a long
6
time,
months.
though. It's like, whew.
May not be here.
Folks
in 6
will be,
months.
folks will be like, they ain't finished smoking them sticks yet. God,
Yeah, let's do a 3-week test.
okay, that's more plausible. The 6 months, I'll be like, man, can I smoke something else? Can I please smoke something else?
No.
Damn, I'm going to the cigar pulpit.
Because they'll let you smoke anything. You want a backwoods?
Take it. No, I'm not doing that one, bro.
Hey, Nick and Gator, we love
I
you.
love you.
When you think of Nick and Gator,
Did you
tell
see
me,
this dude?
tell me you don't hear a banjo.
Banjo and this dude in all his freaking Instagram and Facebook, he's naked, man. Everything he do, I'm like, what is up with Gator, man?
Dave.
What's on? Well, we know what's not on him, but what's on his mind, man?
He's the naked gardener.
For real.
Except he doesn't limit his nakedness to the garden.
No. I'm like, it pops up, and it's like you scrolling through. You're like, oh man, come on.
It's like that one gift you sent somebody. You know which one?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You're like, when you get done seeing that, you're like, did I hear a horse?
Did I hear a horse? And this is going to be somebody's gift next year.
Right.
So passing this on.
So anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. We want to say thank you to the Patreons
Yes,
again.
yes.
Thank you to our sponsors.
Appreciate
Hope
y'all,
you enjoyed the
man.
show. And just so you know, we're not done with the drinking game. The
Nope.
show's over, but the drinking game is just getting warmed up.
It started.
So anyway, guys, y'all have a great week. Until next time.
Keep smoking.
Boom.